Thanks for joining today. So I think some good news for us, just to start with, hot off and confirm that we have just signed a partnership agreement with HBL ICT and NHS ICT in London. And what that means is that we will be working in partnership in order to help primary care make best use of automation tooling. It also means that our MyBotGP range will live in their NHS fit for purpose, obviously super modern and slick data center, which means that MyBotGP will be delivered from a fully hosted environment moving forwards. All you need to do is plug in, and the rest will be looked after by us and HBL ICT. It's big news for primary care in terms of how you can start to use automation tooling in the most robust and secure manner. No longer will there be a requirement for people to have spare computers at the practice to load tooling on. It will all live in an NHS fit for purpose hosted environment, supported by experts, and there'll be more information about that released over the next few days. I believe there's a joint press release happening fairly shortly. So that being said, let's start to go through what you signed up to go through today. Is to go through our MyBotGP product built for Docman. Essentially, it's an automation tool that's quick to download and will use Docman for you, so you don't have to anymore. Which sounds too good to be true, but we'll go through obviously what that means in a bit more detail now. Just for the people who've just joined, this is being recorded. If you have an issue with that, please let us know afterwards, and in the hope that we can share this with everyone afterwards. It will be put onto our website. So for those of you that have attended some of our webinars before, I can confirm that we were part of a Digital Health London Launchpad program, I believe about a year or 18 months ago, which is an NHS and HIN funded program to help launch innovation in tech. There's a slide to confirm that. So what I'm going to do now is break down our product in more detail, how it works, what it does do, what it doesn't do. As with all of our webinars, I'm going to whiz through a presentation really quickly. We like questions, so please feel free to ask questions. If you can pop them in the chat, we always finish 10 to 15 minutes early. Well, I say before 2 o'clock, so we can go through any questions in detail. I think they're very useful. And if we can't answer anything, or you think of anything afterwards that you didn't have a chance to ask in the webinar, please pop that over in an email, and we'll come back to you as soon as possible. So who are we? Well, JIFJAF is the business, and MyBotGP is the product range. We are experts at working in using automation tooling to work in primary care. We've got a very strong track record in working in primary care and across the NHS. MyBotGP is a product which is purpose built for Docman, for the Docman filing product, and it's bespokeable at practice level. So what does that mean? What it means is that you all have your own flows and protocols and templates or no templates and protocols at practice level as to what you want to do with your letters when you receive them, where you want them sent, who you want them to get copies of, what reminders you want, what templates you want to use, what letters you've decided in advance you don't need to look at or do need to look at, specific people and tasks. And what MyBotGP does is it enables you to keep all of that functionality if you want to, but it's built so you don't physically have to do the work yourself. And the other unique selling point for our tooling is if you acquire it, it can be acquired at a practice. If it's acquired at PCN level, which we believe over the next few years will become much more prevalent, every practice will still have their own copy. So you can still continue to use your protocols. Why is that important? Well, you all have your own way that you like to work, dependent on how you'll run, what capability you have, and personal preferences in terms of what you want to do with your own letters. So MyBotGP is a download, as we touched on at the beginning, with our new official partnership just being launched with HBL ICT. You will plug in, it will be downloaded, it will live on a secure computer in an NHS environment. You will show it what to do with each letter, and it will be like a remote worker logging in and managing those tasks for you. So if it's acquired at PCN or Federation level, everyone still gets their own copy to bespoke as you wish. We do have some clients at PCN or Federation level that are trying to standardize some approaches to pathology filing or paperwork filing or letter management. That's also possible, but again, a different conversation. All of our tooling has DCB 0129 certification. So what is that? That's clinical risk certification. It's a prerequisite, and I'm pleased to confirm that we have that tooling. At practice level, obviously, there are considerations for you to take into consideration as to how you manage the tooling when you acquire it. But from our perspective, from the people that you're acquiring the tooling from, it should have a certification, and that certification is a DCB 0129. So what's the challenge? This is the challenge. We're often told that these numbers are actually quite low. Now, an average practice will with a list of 8,500 patients will receive approximately 125 letters a day, which totals approximately 39,000 letters a year. And that's a list of 8,500. Obviously, some practices have got different demographics, which means they may actually receive more letters or letters that need to be actioned in a different way. So what we're saying and what you're all doing on a daily basis is you have in this scenario is you have 39,000 letters a year are manually entered, validated, attached to the patient record and distributed before being actioned, which potentially is a waste of time because it could be done for you. And whose time is it wasting? It's wasting the highly skilled people who are already extremely busy from doing other work. If you think you could employ a robot or a person that will physically do all of this work for you, which means you can focus on the human side of things, a bit where you need to make a decision. Obviously, this is extremely important work in terms of patient safety. It's time consuming and to a greater or lesser extent can be error prone. I mean, so 100%, sorry, Sanj is just saying make it bigger. Is that better, Sanj? Yeah, okay. So it's important work, time consuming and potentially error prone, multiple letter types and required actions from different people to be looked at quickly. MyBotGP essentially will manage all of this for you. It will ensure letters are dealt with quickly to help support outstanding patient care, reclaim thousands of hours a year of physical time and cost to do this work. It will help you to increase resilience at practice level. What does that mean? It means it doesn't get ill, it doesn't have holidays, it can run on the weekend and run at night. So it will continually run in the background and support you in terms of when you have team members on holiday, not well or leaving. And it will free time at practice level, which is something you need to do other work and minimize mistakes. So just before we run through essentially the logic around the tool, the final piece of information around how it's put together, it will work with or without IntelliSense. So what does that mean? What that means is if you are using IntelliSense, it will use it for you. So it will supersede it. It will correct any potential errors in terms of what's been picked up from the letter, and it will actually also file the letter and distribute it appropriately. It's available 24/7, 365, so everything's processed straight away. So coming in on a Monday and all your letters are at 0 is a possibility. And essentially, MyBotGP will connect directly to Docman and it will collect all letters. I can also confirm it can also read emails, so it will pick up all emails as well. So letters attached to emails can also be managed. So what does that mean? It means that if you're having stuff coming by email or stuff that's coming to reception that you want to push through Docman, you can scan it, email it directly to the application, and it will pick those up and action those as well. So we're trying to scrape up as much as possible. And as things progress, more and more stuff will come by email. So that won't be a challenge. What does it do? It recognizes the letters, validates the letters and emails, files and triages as per practice protocols. And there's obviously a very detailed audit log. So anything it touches that there's an audit log of. So you show it what to do with the letter once. Second time it sees that letter, it won't ask you what to do because you've told it what to do, and it will file it for you, triage it, code it appropriately. Over a period of time, you'll have shown it what to do with each letter, and it will know what to do with each letter. And every time it sees a new letter, for the first time it will ask you, you tell it what to do, takes a minute or two to do that, and the second time it sees it, it will process it for you. So letter collection and validation file. MyBotGP will collect, validate, and complete the Docman template. This is the template that you'll all be familiar with, and you need to, as people, extract all of the information from the letters, complete the template, and then decide upon appropriate actions, i.e. where you're going to send it. If you're going to push it through a template, should it go to the pharmacy team? Does it need to see a clinician? Should it go to the coding team? Should it be filed that you don't need to look at it? There are multiple actions that you will spin off of each letter, and you can teach MyBotGP what to do with each one, and it will do them for you. So it will read the letter. Again, the first time it sees the letter, you tell it what to do. You say, this is how you recognize the letter. This is the name. This is where the date is. This is the hospital where it's come from. Should you be looking for a date in the middle of the page, or the top of the page, or the bottom of the page in relation to what that specific letter is? And it will recognize it, pick it up, and complete the template. So it will validate, complete the Docman template, i.e. NHS number. Where do you look for the NHS number? Document type. It will categorize the letter by applying all of the Docman relevant information for each document. Event date, department, organization, hospital, clinical code. Yes, it will code the letter, obviously not diagnose. That's still for people to do. Create reviews and complete a total of the 12 tasks. Once it's picked the letter up, validated it, it will add the documents to the patient record. And this is where the assignment begins. And what we mean by assignment essentially is the phase 2 of what your team are manually doing at the moment. It will recognize each letter and then the actions for you. So the phase 2 is essentially to continue either with your current protocols at practice level, or if you wanted to take the opportunity to change them, it's up to you. But the logic behind this tool is you configure Docman as you wish, and let MyBotGP look after it for you. So what do we mean by configuration? Well, as we touched on at the beginning of the call, of the webinar, you will have different folders, different templates, some stuff you might want to go to the pharmacy team, other letters you might not need to see, might go to different people or different rules. It will distribute it appropriately through Docman. We have some clients that have special folders for particular types of letters that are checked on a regular interval. We have other clients who triage all pharmacy letters off to pharmacy teams. We've got other clients who have different buckets and different folders they've picked up based on who they have working at the practice each week to mop up and read letters and work out next courses of action if appropriate. Obviously, you can continue to create your reviews, assign tasks, track process, and obviously make best use of automated task creation. Reminders and notifications remain the same. You can notify users and escalations. So what is the principle of this tool? The principle of this tool, if we take it back to the beginning, is in this scenario where you have an average list of 8,500 patients, you are removing the requirement for you to physically pick up, validate, code, double check is correct, get onto the system, file, and triage appropriately 39,000 letters a year. It's a lot of time being used. Enforcing standardization, providing resilience to your team, so in case people are away, and minimizing errors. We have clients with triple that list who are pushing through 100,000 plus letters a year manually at the moment, moving over to MyBotGP, who is picking them up and now doing that task for them. It goes without saying that with this type of tooling comes very comprehensive audit logs, which is another positive. What's an audit log? An audit log is a digitally signed footprint of everything that it's done. So any letter that it's looked at, there will be a footprint in the audit log, which is emailed to you each day. And there's obviously a comprehensive audit log in MyBotGP as well, showing every single letter, everything it's done and everything it's seen and everything it hasn't done. So if we unpack that a little bit, you have letters, a snapshot of all Docman filings by date, by document category, and then a detailed granular view of filing as well. It will also show you what it's not done. Now, the way that MyBotGP works is it will be installed and it will read all of your letters. And it will continue to read all of your letters. It won't do anything with them without permission. It will just read them and save them in the memory. Same principle as our normal pathology filing tool. It reads all of the pathology filing tests directly from the lab and saves them in the memory. Then for whoever is going to be responsible, or for the people that will be responsible for giving it permission to action them and telling it what code to attach and where to triage the letter, it will open up MyBotGP, double click on an app, log directly in with a lockdown username and password into the NHS secure environment at HBL ICT, and it will say, okay, if you look at here, this is saying what it's filed, here's the types, and here it's saying I've seen these letters, but I haven't been given permission to action them. What do you want me to do? And you'd quite simply double click, open the letter up, code the letter in, which we'll show you an example of in a minute. It takes 1 to 2 minutes per letter once you're used to using the tool. Obviously, like any technology, it takes a bit of time to get used to using it. After you've coded 5, 10 or 15 letters, it should be a couple of minutes a letter. Once you build confidence with it, press save. And then the second time it sees that letter, it will know what to do. It won't ask you, it will simply triage it appropriately and keep a footprint in here. So what you'll see when you go live is this will be full of letters, and then they will slowly get smaller and smaller and smaller until you have a minimal footprint of either letters that you don't want it to look after because you haven't given it permission for whatever reason, or new letters. Some of you will be getting 3 different iterations of the same letter from the same place for the same condition. It's not a problem. If that is a new letter type comes in, it will say, hi, not seen this before, what do you want me to do with it? You double click on it and say, yep, this is the code, this is what I want you to do with the letter, this is where I want you to send it, or like we don't need to look at that, it can be filed, or that always goes to that team or that person or that audit or that log or that reminder, and it will do that a second time. So you'll have and also one of the other benefits of having a full audit log is at any point you'll be able to go back and search on all previous filings and have physical proof of what was done with each letter. So that's the audit log in a bit of detail. If we jump onto the next slide, the costings of our tooling before we get onto the demo. Essentially, we work on a very clear, simple process. There is unlimited pages and unlimited letter types. We don't quote for additional letters, and we don't quote on volume. It's a subscription. MyBotGP is charged at $749 plus list times 30 pence. And to have this fully hosted, as we talked about before, there's different pricing based on how many patients you have. So as you can see here, the different pricing bands, and there's an example calculation. So if we bring this back to the beginning, and then I'll show you the demo very quickly, and then we'll open up the floor for some questions if you have some questions. What is the principle of MyBotGP? What challenge are we using automation to solve? Well, essentially, we have a tool which can be acquired at practice level and then bespoked, so it can continue to follow your protocols unless you want to change them. It can be acquired by a PCN, which means everyone in the PCN can have a copy of the tool, something which is becoming more prevalent, and they can bespoke it at practice level again. So you're not enforcing different protocols or rules, which is challenging in primary care. You're giving people the freedom to continue to work as they want. DCBO 129 and the business case. What is the business case? The staggering amount of work that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. An average list of 8,500 receives 125 letters a day, a staggering 39,000 a year on average. And all of those at the moment, if you're using IntelliSense or not using IntelliSense, are being manually validated, checked, coded, distributed. We can remove all of that for you. It will pick them all up. You show it what to do with the letter once. Second time, it won't ask you. 24/7, 365. It's also able to read emails, so you can put NHS mail through it as well, which is a big USP. Obviously, it will triage as appropriate. It will pick up the letter, validate the letter, complete the template, add the code, file the letter, and then distribute it as you wish. You can continue to use your templates if you have particular templates that you want to use or you are using. You can triage letters to the letter, complete the template, add the code, file the letter, and then distribute it as you wish. You can continue to use your templates if you have particular templates that you want to use or you are using. You can triage letters to different teams, people, folders, assign task, track process, set reminders, everything that you need to do to ensure that the letters get to the right people with the right reminders at the right time. But it's done for you. So your physical work footprint to do the same task will reduce dramatically. So you can have the same amount of people processing the work quicker, or fewer people processing the work quicker, but you've also got time to do other work. Also, for those of you who have backlogs, we talk to practices fairly regularly. Not all practices, but there are practices out there who have running backlogs of letters. Some are as few as a few hundred, and we've spoken with clients who've got several hundred plus at any given moment. You have the opportunity to keep that at zero, which means letters are processed quicker and distributed to the appropriate people quicker, so you can action them quicker, supporting good patient care. Full audit log of everything here. So at any point you will be able to see what's happened, what the letters are, where they're filed, what categories they are, and then a granular breakdown of any new letters that you haven't given it permission to do that you can simply double click on. Add takes a couple of minutes once you're up and running with the tool, and then the second time it sees MyBotGP, it sees that letter, it will know what to do. And then we have our payment model, annual subscription, no limits on volume or letter types. So we'll jump into the demo in a moment. Before we do that, I can't see Sanj's face, unfortunately. So do we have questions, Sanj? We can open the floor for a couple of questions.
Yeah. Okay, I've got lots of questions.
Do you want to ask those? Will I stop sharing and then we can
Maybe
look at the questions?
Let's do that. Let's do that, and then we can.
So we'll jump. Okay, thanks, Sanj. So we'll jump into the demo in a moment. Let me just open up the chat here for questions. Okay, make my screen bigger. Okay, I've got them here. So Sanjeev and I will help with these questions. So do you want to mute Sanjeev? So first question is, do you help with the DCB 160? Yep, we can support you with the DCB 160. Please, can you open your screen fully? Yeah, I think Sanj asked me to do that. Apologies for that. Hopefully that was done. Does it recognize that it's a letter about safeguarding and make it non-visible online? Sanj, I'll let you answer that one.
So again, you can. It's how you classify the letter. I think in answer to that question. So there is the ability to select or deselect whether that letter is visible online. So what one would do is you would categorize that letter, give it a name, a document type. You would train that letter so it would know that it is that type of letter, and for that particular letter type, you would make it non-visible online.
Yeah, that's right. So on the template sheet that you saw on the Docman template, there was a tick box to say visible, non-visible. So what Sanj is saying, you would say, okay, every time you see this letter, this is that type of letter, and make it non-visible. So the short answer is yes, you're able to do that. Are you saying you have to train every letter type? How long does it take? Can you just tell it to send every letter to one particular inbox without having trained them? Yeah, you could do that. Yep, that's possible. So two questions in there. Do you have to teach it how to teach each letter? Yes, if you want to. Or can you just tell it to send every letter to one particular inbox without having to train them? Yes, you're able to do that as well. Let me get through as many of these as I can, and then we'll go back to the demo. Do you have real practice stroke PCN accuracy data for the automation? Yeah, we can share that with you afterwards. Just to confirm, part of the process on which our tooling goes live is it's in testing, obviously with multiple practices filing, you know, in a test environment, thousands of letters. That was all done quite some time back, and we have our DCBO 129 certification to confirm that the tool is fit for purpose. That's a big question. So if, for example, there was an issue and something was misfiled, as can happen with tech, it can happen with any tech, whether it's this or anything else you're using at work or at home. There's also protocols around how that information is disseminated, and that's part of our DCBO 129. So if there was an issue, thankfully there hasn't been, with the way that it with accuracy, and we found that, we would plug that hole, and then all practices using the tooling will be notified, so that you can go back and double check that there hasn't been any mistakes.
And patch updated if there was.
We can patch update our tooling as well, so that's not a problem. We can make enhancements and stuff online. Is it using image and text to read the letter and extract the right info? Yeah, Sanj, you happy with me saying yes to that one?
Lots of different technologies used under the hood, but very much so that with, as I say, a plethora of full technology is used.
Thank you. So how does it cope with multiple options picked up by intelligence? Well, you supersede it. So you would tell it what is correct. You're not overly worried about what that comes up with. What's the cost of this project? What's the accuracy level like? What kind of support? Okay, so costings, we will share the deck again afterwards, but we charge a subscription model. I believe it's 749 plus list times 30 pence. And then to have it fully hosted, there's a price per patient. Accuracy level is extremely high, otherwise we wouldn't be able to sell the tooling. If it wasn't accurate, we wouldn't be able to sell it. Again, we've got safeguardings around DCBO 129, as we touched on before, in case there are any issues, how they're remedied, patched, fixed, and then disseminated. What kind of support available after go live? So what we do now is we run training when we install the product. And then what we have for all of our clients is we have weekly drop-in webinars. So every single week there is a webinar for all of our products. They are open to all of our clients. We run them if we have one attendee, and we'll run them if we have 50 or 60 attendees. We're always run. And in those webinars, we go through training tips, ideas, and different ways of doing things. And also what we find is really nice is we have clients sharing the way that they do stuff as well. So we're almost teaching each other. We also have online training material, which is updated on a regular basis. So we have videos showing how to use the tooling, some long videos, short videos, and instruction manuals, obviously. But what we found is that people don't like reading manuals anymore. So we converted everything into online content, different videos at different lengths. You know, this is how you would, I don't know, push through a template, or this is how you would attach this code, or this is how you would manage that letter. And we put them into short little videos that you've got access to as a client, so you can log in and out of those as well. Does it also read code if shown? Not sure I completely understand that one. Sanj?
No, it doesn't add the read code. What it does, there are about 12 fields you will train the document on. So as James said, you give it a document type, you tell it event date, NHS number, department description, clinical code, folders, tags, persons. You train it once, it stores all of that information in, and then when it picks up that letter, it then applies what you've told it to. But in terms of read code, no, that coding piece is done if you create a task for that document. One then will pick that up and do that coding piece, that sort of second stage, as we call it.
Yeah, it links with the premise of the tool. The premise of the tool is to do the bulk of the work in terms of manually validating, getting them onto the system, triage into the appropriate place. So you'll be dipping in and out of different folders where appropriate for particular letters, or however it's set up for you, however you want to set it up at your practice. Duplicate letters is an interesting one. Comes up a lot. So we made a decision. Okay, so there was a question before that. Will it pick up letters we've manually filed into Docman that have not come in via email? Yes. Does your system recognize duplicate letters which are already filed in our Docman before? Most of the time we receive clinical letters via email, electronic. For those letters, what would your system do? Okay, so that's a big question. We made the decision not to touch that for now. So no, it's not. We're not going to use it to do anything with duplicate letters. They will still come through as duplicates. That may change further down the line. The reason for that is that if you think from our perspective, once we start to recognize them, then our clients would say, okay, well, can you now delete them, or can you do this, or can you do that? It leads to another chain of events, and then we become responsible for removing letters, which can be quite risky. So some letters, one might be the same letter could be 3 pages, and then a duplicate could be 2 pages. Which one do you remove? And that's not for us to touch. So it will push them through as a normal letter, and that's come as a safety point from our clinical safety officer. How are exceptions handled? How many document pages can it process in an hour? Does it use an API to interface with EMIS? It's quick. I mean, it's a couple of seconds, 5-10 seconds per letter, and it uses EMIS in the same way that a person does. VAT, yes, those in addition VAT. I'm assuming for any new letter codes. Okay, so we'll do a couple more questions, and then what I'll do is I can show the demo, and we can come back to the questions again afterwards. These are very useful. I'm assuming for any new letters, new codes, or new hospital names, we need to train the bot or update. Yes, that's correct. It takes about 1 to 2 minutes to show it how to use a letter, to recognize a letter once. Second time it sees that letter, it will know what to do. And what will happen is anything it's seen for the first time will show, it will say, hi, I've seen this letter, haven't been given permission to do anything with it. What do you want me to do? You double click on it. It's about 1 to 2 minutes. Teach it to recognize the letter. Second time it sees the letter, it knows what to do. So is there a trial period where we can try for free? Unfortunately, no. We did offer free trials when we first went live with our tooling, quite some time back now, but it's established tooling now. It's in multiple practices across the country, so it works essentially. What's the technology behind the solution? So agentic workflow, RPA. So we're a vendor, we're a software vendor, so it's our own kit. I believe I'm not. So depending on who's asking, on the background of the person that's asking that question, there could be several different answers. So there are some people who use third-party tooling and try to bespoke that tooling to do this task, and there are other people that are software vendors that build bespoke tooling. We fall in the latter, so we built it. So it's a combination of technologies, including automation, if you want to call it RPA, which is our own automation. But the product's bigger than the automated piece. The product is around, can it safely pick up, read multiple letters? Can you safely and quickly teach it how to recognize different letters, assign tasks and complete templates and so on and so forth? And then the automated piece is, what do you do with it now? Where do you push it? Where do you file it? What folders do you put it in? Are there any videos available? Yes, there are. We'll show you a quick video now. And we're going to have more stuff coming on our website. We covered off duplicates. If you weren't on that just before, that's no. We made the decision to not touch duplicates. Potentially risky. Not all duplicates are duplicates. If that makes sense. 3-page letter could be a 2-page letter. Which one do you remove? Did you remove the right one? Not saying that we won't look at that in the future. That's definitely something we would like to look at when we feel there's a safe way to do that. Letters with several different dates, how will it know which one is correct? Good question. You tell it. So when you're in that training phase where you're showing it to recognize each letter, you can say, for this letter, for this from this department, from this hospital, you should be looking for the date over here in the middle of the page, or or the bottom of the page, or with these keywords next to it, or the top of the page. So second time it sees it, it knows where to look. If there is a power cut, will it pick up from where it left off? Yeah, hopefully that's gone now. Those problems are gone now. It's a good question, but now we're moving into with our new partnership with HBL ICT, where it's moved into an NHS hosting center. Issues like that should disappear. You're no longer having to use sort of computers in the office, spare laptops in the office, but it does keep a log of what it's done, and if there are any interruptions, it will restart the cycle safely again from where it last was, and then that can be evidenced in the audit log. I don't understand the next one. Sanj, do you understand that? What if the letter has third-party names?
I'm assuming that's maybe non-NHS, perhaps like private consultants sending mail through. If that's the case, then yes, you can, as long as you train it, so it will recognise a third party as another organisation, and as long as that's set up in Docman as another organisation, it will just file it as normal. I hazard a guess on that. Third party as in, private consultancies.
Okay, thank you. Can you file documents to more than one patient record? Yes. And can it link with redaction software? Interesting. Sanj, I'll let you ask that one. I would imagine if the redactions, yeah, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on that question. Can it link with redaction software? Well, the thing is, in terms of redaction, no one is looking at any patient data. It's going to live in a hosted center, thereby, so that there is no storing or sharing of personal information. So yeah, and
I think that's more around if patients can see the letter, if they wanted to.
As per normal,
yeah,
as per normal, that you publish it to the web or not. You've got that option when you train.
Okay, do you want to answer the next one from Jacob? If there's an existing template in place.
If there's an existing template already in place, can it be set up to recognize keywords and change procedure in specific circumstances? So again, what you would do, you would train the letter to look for those existing, or look for those keywords, and in a situation where it finds those keywords, yes, then you would point it down, different set of folders, departments, create reviews, etc. So yeah, it's all about the training and how you cipher that off and how you uniquely train that type of letter.
Thanks. Was that next one for you? I feel like I'm hogging it a bit.
And letters to the usual. We send our letters to the usual GP, so 10 copies of the same letter type may need a review created for different GPs possible. So letters to usual GPs. So that's correct. I presume this is not. No.
It'd be interesting to understand a bit more about that. Maybe we can have a chat about that offline. Is this essentially?
Sorry, just to add on that, if you it just sort of went in. So if you are able to train and uniquely identify those letters by types, then yes, you can put it to a different GP in terms of creating reviews for those GPs. So you could, if you can sort of allocate it by document type.
So what you're saying is if you can recognize the document type.
Yeah. If a particular GP is going to look at particular things, then one can do that, or you can get it sent to one task or one create review and then allocate it as you would normally, using the automation to get it to the patient record, etc. So there's the win there. So there's ways one can do that.
Okay, so you would validate that letter and then say send it here and here in the same way.
Or to one bucket and then distribute it. At least it's against the patient record. I think that's the key there.
Okay. Is this essentially in place of a person that is scanning, distributing documents, and not the workflow teams that are reading the documents and coding and actioning? Yes. So that's the purpose of this tooling. And also, in addition to that, so you're getting the stuff onto the system, but in addition to that, you're also able to triage a number of letters and emails that coming in as letters into Docman that team might not need to look at. So stuff that can be filed, no, they don't have to, that you've decided at the practice that they don't need to look at, they won't need to look at that anymore. Stuff that goes to pharmacy teams or particular folders that other people at the practice might want to have access to, or you've decided they need to have access to. So yes, in addition to removing the footprint of several thousand letters a year that they're looking at, that they don't need to look at. Sanj, you look like you wanted to say something.
Oh no, it's just that your screen had frozen. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. Okay, so we'll finish. Looks like we're getting to the end of these questions here, and then we can show you a quick demo. I know you said it can't diagnose, but can you teach it to code a diagnosis if you tell it where to look? Sanj?
No. So the diagnosis piece in terms of the read code and so forth, that's the diagnosis piece is not what it does. It does the piece before, the administrative piece, where it grabs the letter, validates the NHS number, pops it against the patient, and then allocates it to the correct folder, persons, create review, etc., etc. That's the piece that it does.
Thank you. Have you got a model DPIA? Yes. Is the short answer to that. What is the default contract length? Would you offer a free trial period? Minimum contract is 12 months. Unfortunately, we don't. There's some training, there's setup, and so on and so forth. So trial periods aren't possible. For the recognition and decision-making protocols, are they solely reliant on OCR and rule-based programming, or is it the scope to enhance this kind of process using AI agents to understand how much configuration workload could exist, and if it's flexible and responsive, for example, if it relies on any machine learning technologies or tools? It's a good question. That's for tomorrow. Today, this is I believe that question is around the next stage. Are we going to start to have AI tooling that can help code letters and make decisions that people are doing at the moment? That's coming, I believe, but not yet. And that's not what this tool is about. This is an automation tool, purpose-built for Docman to validate letters using OCR, rules-based programming, get them onto the system, distribute them quickly, free time at the practice, remove waiting logs, and minimize errors. This is the stuff of tomorrow. Whether that's literally tomorrow or in a year or 2 years or 5 years, I think we'll all have to wait and see. But that'll be the phase 2.
I would just add that the platform does give you the flexibility to go back and check and change, add new documents, change the target folders, and how you're filing those documents. So there is flexibility in how you train those documents and add additional documents. As I say, clients are up to a few hundreds of document types running through the platform and adding more as we speak.
Yes, we do. DPIA and DTAC templates in place. Yes. If you have 2 letters from the same department, one with an action, one without it, is he able to create a review for the letter with the action and file the one task without the action? If you can recognize that clearly from the letter, yes. If you can't, I think mostly you would be able to, maybe some you won't. If you can't, again, that would go to the particular. Oh, it can? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's all about the training and how you uniquely classify these documents. So one with specific keywords and one with a different set of keywords, and you can essentially then put it to a different quote review.
Thank you, Sanj. And can you explain how MyBotGP deals with letters we get in the post? You'd scan them and email them, put them straight into Docman. Handwriting, obviously, what is handwriting? That might be challenging. Everyone's got their own handwriting, but everything else it will be able to read. And that's a good question for a different reason, because it means that if you are getting handwritten letters, you're only having to physically look at those, because all the rest are being managed for you, so you get some time back. And it's actually asked in the next question there.
Yeah, the scheduled one. So in terms of scheduling, there's it's set up to run 3 times a day. So you've got a morning one, afternoon one, and a sort of early evening one. So it runs 3 times a day, every day.
So thanks, Sam. So funding is an interesting one. Our clients now are a combination of ICB paid pilots, PCN acquisitions, and PCN surgeries acquiring. It seems to be or everything and anything at the moment, depending on well, where you are in the country in terms of whether there's funding available, and how much time and money you think this is going to save at practice level, and when you want to purchase it yourself. So everyone, you know, from individual, I mean, we've had 4 new clients today. They were all paid themselves, in addition to PCNs making acquisitions and ICB pilot funding as well. My personal opinion is that over the next few years, there'll be lots more centralized funding for technology like this. But I think it's a work in process while everyone starts to get used to understanding different ways of working. Yeah, okay, I'll jump into the demo. I just noticed the time. Our letters are all filed to the patient's own GP. We'll come back to that one. Okay, right, let me get to the demo here. And again, if there's any questions that we haven't got through today, you know, please reach out to us. Oh, has it? Okay, is it sharing now? No. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Can you see now? Yeah. Buried away somewhere. So what was the question? Ah, so you've got Sanj chuckling away in the background at a question, but I can't see what the question is. Right, let's have a look here. So, Sanj, do you want to just run through this quickly? I mean, essentially, before he does, I'll just what we're doing is we're populating this to show you we're actually writing the words in, but in reality, this will pre-populate itself, and then it's for you to validate whether you agree or disagree and add appropriate actions. But for demo purposes, we're writing this in. So obviously, it's been redacted when clients let us share this. So we've had to redact it. And then after this, we'll just spend a couple of minutes on this. And then we'll jump into the next one where you can actually see it working. But where you see it working, really, you're just going to see a mouse moving around the screen and Docman working in the background. So Sanj, over to you.
Thank you, James. So basically, if we just stop there, I can just quickly explain the screen. So essentially how it works is once it's installed, it will log on to your document, the not in folder inbox, and it will grab every single document that it sees. It takes a copy of that document and it stores it in its brain and it pops it into the platform. And as you can see, it's displayed on the right-hand side. And what it does, for every document it sees, it wants to be trained on them, and you can sort of see top left hand corner, it's got a list of all the letters it's seen, and on the right hand side there's a thumbnail preview of that letter. And what it's asking you is it wants to be trained. So what do I mean by train? There are 5 steps that one needs to train this letter in terms of classifying that letter and telling it where and how to file. And what does that mean in terms of, you know, what department to put it to, what folder, what organization, where do I pick up NHS number, where do I pick up event date, all of the things that you would apply when you're filing these letters manually. And as you can see, the first step, it's asking me for a document type. So I'm going to give it a name for this letter, and this is an ENT clinic letter. The next prompt is asking me what's the actual, how is it displayed within Docman, the actual document title. And then the third one is, well, how do I uniquely classify this letter? So what keywords can I give it to tell me that this is an ENT clinic letter? So if we just play it on, James. And it's the same process for every type of letter. Classify, it knows the actual document title. I think that's now automated in our latest version. And then it wants to know, how do I uniquely identify it? So you can either give it one word, you can give it multiple words, you can say this word or that word. There are a number of ways you can actually classify this letter by just giving it a series of words and letters. Okay. We can go to step 2, so that's done. And now we need to tell it where to pick up NHS number. So you simply draw a blue box the point and click on the right hand side. You draw a blue box around the NHS number, and you do the exact same for event date. Now, there was a question as well. So, in terms of what happens if there are two dates, or if the dates change. So again, there's flexibility in the platform where if you draw a box around the event date, you can also give it a secondary date as well in terms of where to pick up a date if the hospital changes the location, or if it sends a date in a different place. Okay. So we're just picking from image. And there you go. Step 2 is done. Step 3, you tell it exactly what the name of the organization is and tell it how that's set up within your Docman. Again, department, we'll just stop there. So department, again, you just tell it the name of the department. So all you're doing is telling the exact way the department is spelt within your Docman, because it will log on to Docman, it will pick up this document and it will apply the exact information that you apply here. So same with templates, descriptions, folders, notes, tags. You simply tell MyBotGP what to look for and how to file. Once you've applied that information, you simply save and move to the next step. Okay, so description, we can just leave as is or put the custom text for this ENT letter. Folder, I'll give it the name of the actual folder that I want it to file against. There we go. Notes, tags, leave as is. And then we go to step 5, create review. Do you want to create a task for this actual letter? So you can simply tell it the name of the task. Clinical code, again seen as clinic. So you would tell it the actual code. Just stop there, James. You can then also tell it to whether to tick or untick in terms of start clinical coding, or add the document link to the EMIS web. So again, you're telling MyBotGP what to do as you would when you would train a new person into your team. Once you've trained it, you never have to tell it again. And then once you've completed that, that's step 5 of 5. That moves the document to enabled state, and then you move on to the next document to train.
Thanks, Ange. So just coming back to what we were saying before about time. So it's about 90 seconds, a minute to 2 minutes per letter once you've got the first 10 or 15 out of the way and you're used to using the tooling. So it's pretty quick. So we've got 5 minutes left. I'll quickly show this demo now. What you're going to see essentially, it will look like a person using Docman for you. And this is MyBotGP. So everything you're seeing now is the tooling logging in from a secure environment, DPIAs, DTAC, all signed off, and it's using Docman for you, like a person, looking for the letters, picking out the letters, looking for the ones it's got permission to actioning them appropriately, filing them, putting them in the right place, and then moving to the next one. So this is the letter in question. Again, it's been redacted, hence the information on there. And it's just processing it here, and you can see it knows where to look for the date, what the organisation is, where to pick up the NHS number and the appropriate fields. And this is running in the background. So it's already finished that one, it's on to the next one. It's really quick. And the way to think about this is, as we said a couple of times in this call, with this partnership with the ICT, with the NHS ICT, this will be your copy of MyBotGP will be living there in a secure hosted environment. You won't need it to be living at the practice anymore. It will log in with a secure username and password, and it will just be working in the background doing exactly this, picking everything up, validating it, and triaging it appropriately. So if we just, what I'll do is I'll close this down here, and then I'll stop sharing my screen. We've got a couple of minutes left. So what we can do, I'll stop sharing here. And we've got to cover off the last couple of questions until we finish off, and then obviously we'll share a copy of this afterwards. And so, does it recognise if multiple patients are on one document, i.e., mum and children? Sanj, how would the tooling look after that? Presumably, we'll pick the letter type up and send it to the appropriate box.
That's right. Correct. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that links back to what Sanj, what people will be doing, what the automation tooling is doing. So for that type of scenario, that letter will be going to the appropriate team, the appropriate folder. Thank you for the demo. You're welcome. Can we show pricing again? Yes, we can. It's difficult to share my screen quickly. We'll come back to that in a second. What happens if Docman changes its software? Does this tool become redundant? Do we get a refund? It will only work with Docman. No is the short answer, but I'm not sure that's going to happen anytime soon. Will you have the same integration?
Yeah. So just to add, any changes to Docman are that the platform will realign on our end. So if a field or additional screens or anything like that happens to Docman, not to worry, our tooling changes in line with Docman.
Thank you. Will you have the same integration in NCO ICT as you have in HBO ICT? We don't need to. We can access everyone nationally from their environment, so that issue goes away. Anyone in the country, we already have practices being across the country. EMIS X is looking to move away from integrating with Docman. Okay, yeah, I mean that's been talked about for quite some time. We don't see it as an issue. Okay, there's some feedback on the presentation. Let's book a call. Thank you. No problem. We can book a call and go through the demos again quicker. The reason we explain the functionality more than showing the demos is you just see the mouse moving around the screen on the demo. So we try to get across what the functionality of the actual tool does, the logic behind it, the safeguarding. But no problem. But very happy to have another call, and thank you for the feedback. Thank you. Is there an audit trail? Yes, there is. Will it go into different folders? Yes. It says do not use the mouse in action. That's redundant now as it will be hosted. And how many documents can be filed in an hour? Well, 20, 30 seconds a letter, so quite a lot. Okay, we're going to finish off now. And yeah, maybe we'll come back to that question. Maybe I haven't understood it, but if I have understood it, a hosted environment, you can access practices across the country from a secure environment, so they don't have to be cut into regions. But again, happy to touch on that another time. Okay, thank you for your time. Can you answer Nicola Waugh's question? Do you know how far back that was? Yeah, I think, yeah.
Well, I think we did, yeah. Our letters all filed to the patient's own GP rather than and it comes back to training, and there are, you need to uniquely classify these documents and then state who that GP is. It's just really about training those documents. But I can take this offline and we can send you an email on how you can accommodate that requirement.
Good stuff. Okay, so we're going to wrap up now. Thank you very much for everyone for attending. We need a little bit of time to tidy this up and put it onto a video, and we'll distribute that and put it onto our website. And if you have any more questions, please let us know. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye.